Hi, welcome to this new Nigeria where we're looking at countdown to 2023 general election in Nigeria. We do this because this matter a lot to all Nigerians. Either you are in Nigeria or we're in the diaspora. Everybody really have Nigeria on their mind. Our prayer and our really genuine prayer is that we're going to get it right this time. We might not get it right at once, but we'll begin to get it right one by one. Or small by small, or little by little, or however you may want to uh, put it or think about it. I have with me always on this seat, and we're going to do this for a long time till the end of the presidential election. My colleague, my friend, my business partner, my, the one who stimulates me brain wise and spiritually, Mr. Shegun Awosanya, Dr. Shegun Awosanya. You all know our Link. Welcome again.
Thank you very much, sir, for having me, and thank you for making this something to look forward to. It's always a pleasure to be on this program, to rub minds, to exchange ideas, to argue on points, and mostly to allow other people and our audience to see from different perspectives, and knowing that we can actually disagree on certain things and not be disagreeable. In other words, not become enemies because we don't share the same view on things. But again, we learn from one another as we chart the path and the course of discovering the best ways and best practices with which you can bring the best out of our country.
I think we should focus now on the zoning issue, because it looks like since I got into this space in the last few days, I realized the major thing that seems to be reigning right now is the zoning issue in Nigeria. Now, for me, I don't see this problem as prevalent in both parties. It appears that PDP seems to be the one having this zoning issue at the moment. And I know from what I see that they've had their convention already. Have they?
No.
Okay, so they have not really had their convention. So it appears that they had a convention, or they had a conference or something. And it seems that we're 1 year into the election already. We shouldn't be talking about zoning or no zoning or what have you. What's your take on that?
No, I think it's something that needs to be discussed over the years.
Even up to this time?
Yeah, because parties are still consulting, aspirants are still consulting, and the party leadership have to come together. The National Working Committee of every party have to come together to decide on the path to chart.
Do you realize why I always make that statement that Nigerian democracy is still juvenile? Because the best practice in the developed world is that by 1 year, by the time you have one calendar year into where you are going, all of this kind of matters should be sorted. You should be heading towards your primaries, and so that you can focus. And we saw that with this guy, Hillary Clinton, and Donald Trump, when the rule of thumb was not respected, and they were still banging and still fighting each other. Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Most of the ammunition that Donald Trump had to use against against Hillary, was not something that they researched. Is what Bernie Sanders, used against Hillary.
I understand. You cannot compare the two democracies because we are not of the same age. We are not age mates. We are not classmates.
In terms of democracy.
In terms of democracy, in terms of civilization, in terms of in terms of civilization, because also the basis upon which Nigeria borrowed Western civilization for their politics and several other things. And we're looking at that also, Nigeria also being Nigeria, you know that the practical years of any administration is actually 2 years. The remaining, the third year is actually in preparation for the next election, for the election year. So given that, there are lots of people who are doing a lot of things, putting resources together. After a party loses an election, they are more or less in disarray. You can't bring people together. People who have taken money for elections and did not deliver will not be able to come back to the party. A lot of people will not be able to. There will be trust issues that if you put money down now, wouldn't people run away with them? And also, they will rather begin to do things towards the election that will guarantee commitment, and avoid waste of resources. But again, right now, the discussion or the dialogue on zoning, is actually the bone of contention for both major parties now, because they felt on the national purview, the North has ruled for a particular number of years. It's time for us to go into other zone. Is it the south? Is it the middle belt? Is it the southeast? Is it what? What exactly will win election? It's not just what meets the sentiment of certain people. What exactly will guarantee, a win for the election? Again, you will also agree with me that elections in Nigeria over the years since 1999 till date, or if I were to say since the crucifixion of Christ to NSAS, you agree with me that
I will always say from Genesis to COVID.
yeah, you agree with me also that our voting structure had not been based on logic. It has always been on sentiment, towards people, towards incidents, towards, the trajectory of someone's narrative.
They don't
And
have a
all,
shoe.
you don't have shoes, or you
They
are
went
rigged
to
of election, you
prison.
went to prison, and so many other things. And we are expecting the latest narrative now for
I
2023
don't know how
from different
long that
parties.
sentiment is going to last in the Nigerian environment.
Well, again, like I said, we practice this ethno-religious sentiments towards election. And that's exactly why zoning will not be seen in the right light today. Because if you look as if, we're trying to condemn nepotism on the one hand, and on the other hand, we're using zoning to disenfranchise certain people from contesting in elections.
But do you know that people are actually not aware that zoning is actually a good thing? Now, there are governments that actually, particularly Switzerland as a nation, one of the best places I like to have holiday, where they have three major parts. You have the French-speaking part, you have the German-speaking part, you have the Dutch-speaking part. And what they do is that they rotate government within themselves. And if you look at it, this is how they were being able to survive wars. They have been able to, stick together. They've never really fought any war. My point is, if we are really going to zone, then let us make this a constitutional amendment. Let us amend the documentation and realize that, okay, we are a tripartite nation, or we are a sexpartized nation. We are broken into 6 regions, or we are broken into... Look, it's not a bad thing that if out of every region, there are millions of people. Each region can always have somebody that is brilliant. But the next region really knows that constitutionally, there is a policy of rotation. But again, it worked extremely well for Switzerland. Why can't it work for Nigeria? And why can't we constitutionalize it?
I think what we must focus on is to look at Nigeria in the here and the now. What do we have on ground? We don't have such constitutional provision because political parties themselves, it remains their remit to actually handle that part, to decide for themselves whether they want to go by, they want to change their principle by saying, okay, we're going to zone this time, or we're not going to zone this time.
So is it at the party level, or we're talking about at the National Assembly now?
If it is going to be at the National Assembly, there must be an advocacy towards that, towards the passing of the bill at the legislature, towards the passing of that bill, or to the assent to that bill at the presidency. But that is not the case now. We are a year into a major and a critical election. What is possible at this level is to talk to the political parties that, number one, given the situation on ground, we have seen how battered Nigeria has been with nepotism. And we don't also want to rob any other candidate who have been seen and known to be talented, to be well exposed, to have capacity, to have competence, to have the capability to deliver the kind of Nigeria that people want. And then we now say such a person cannot be eligible to participate in that particular primaries, towards becoming a candidate because of where it came from.
In fact, I'm going to put you on a tight corner.
So because of that, I don't believe that we should look at this ethnic extraction-based, perspective towards picking leadership. We should look at meritocracy. Let everybody come out and run. Let them prove their might. Let them pull their weight. And if they can win, if you are indeed the best man for the job, and you can pull your weight at the primary and you win election, you become a candidate. And we know that this was free and fair.
So let me put you in a tight corner.
This improves internal democracy, and it also wins the trust of the people towards party politics. So this is actually a win-win for Nigeria.
Let me put you in a knowing that you are not a you don't hold, I don't know if you hold a political card.
I'm a Nigerian,
so
I'm a human being.
Knowing this about you, what would be a problem of someone like Bukola Saraki or Peter Obi running for on the PDP level right now, which I consider in that party the most viable ticket?
There is a process for everything.
Yeah.
If it's someone like Senator, that is His Excellency Olubukola Saraki, and also His Excellency Peter Obi, because he was one-time governor,
Yeah.
if they have interest, they've thrown their heart into the ring to say they want to aspire to become the president of the country, they know what the rules say. They should come in and show their interest. And with that, they will run for primaries. If the people or the delegates, find them worthy, whosoever that has the highest vote becomes a candidate, and the other parties have to support. But imagine what I am against is the zoning,
Yeah.
the zoning, the application of a zoning rule, which now disenfranchises someone like Bukola Saraki, disenfranchises someone like Peter Obi, if the zoning thing did not favor their region.
So why are we still talking about zoning then?
So,
like I said, it appears to me from observation that APC is not talking about, it's clear to us that we have about 2 or 3 candidates that are, coming out, in APC. PDP are still stuck with.
No, you need to, let's be very current with what we're basing our argument on, or our contributions on. PDP just announced within a few hours ago that they are jettisoning the zoning thing.
Today?
Yes, at yesterday. They are jettisoning it. So they are not going to go by zoning. Everybody who is capable, who is competent to aspire should come to the ring.
That's fantastic.
So
I didn't even know about that.
So that's happening already within 24 hours.
I need to be on Twitter today.
Because I remember I tweeted 24 hours before then that, look, parties are best advised to jettison the zoning thing and allow all talent to come and express their interest so that they can go into the primaries and let the people decide who they want to be the candidate. And PDP, within 24 hours, PDP came out with their communique, with their press release that, look, we are jettisoning the zoning thing. Let everybody come. In fact,
I would applaud them with that, because that will make us move forward, and we can focus on the game. I always look at the game of politics, particularly Nigerian politics, as a game of chess. And I always do it this way. I say American politics is a game of poker. If you understand how to play the game of poker, going into American politics, you will use the concept of poker to play American politics. The UK politics is the game of football. It's a formation. We don't vote for president or prime minister. We vote for different people at different levels, and the combination of how many parties did well and what have you. So that's how formation is. Your 4-2-2, 4-3, 40, what have you. You come in and you play your game. Whoever is sitting down there is the coach. Is not coming on the field per se. You have the queen, who is like the coach. You have referees. That's how that game. But you see the Nigerian game. I studied well, and I realized that the Nigerian politics is a game of chess. You move this, you move that, and then things happen, but you must always protect your king and your queen and your knight. But the best of chess players will understand the permutation around Nigerian politics. If we are saying that they've jettisoned the zoning, it's a good development to actually play this card, because players will move around. And I think what will educate an average Nigerian who does not know a lot about how the ruling party works, how election process, is let each of these candidates begin to declare their manifesto. Let them begin to have campaigns. Let them begin to wow people, discuss. Not only that, because that's the problem of APC, where they came and promised so much. Let these people, APC, PDP, and every other party, let them connect with the people and survey and do intelligent research. Feel the pulse of the people. Do qualitative and quantitative research. Get feedback. Set up a research office. You see, one of the things I realized about the developed world, when they said they set up campaign offices, I have been part of this campaign offices before, either in setting them up or in being part of running it in the diaspora. And I realized that hugely, it is actually not just to campaign first. It is to gather information. It's to write out questionnaires and find out what are people talking about. What do people want? What is the problem in this locality? And then when they gather all of that information, then they can know the promises that they can make. But what our politicians do so far, is that they make blanket promises. They just look at, there's no electricity, in fact. You know, I saw what you put on, is it you or someone put on Twitter yesterday, where APC had said, we'll give you electricity, we'll give you this, that. They were good wills, but they're not based on any tangible research on how we're going to go about it. Again, I'm going to go back in the little bit of bias that I have, because I knew a little bit about that time. During the transition government, they did a lot of research. I just don't know what happened to them. You know,
The issue is that data is not readily available, and where they are available is very expensive. Politicians don't believe that they need to spend money to for on-resource persons. They need to spend money on professionals to get data that they use. Even where they get data on a platter of gold, they don't use most
I
of
don't
this
think they
advisory.
understand the importance of data.
And yes, because the votes are not based on logical decisions, they are based on sentiments. So they believe they can tell a story and win the crowd. And also, of course, together with a lot of other things that they do during election, the use of thugs, stealing of ballot boxes, rigging election, manipulating numbers, and the rest. So you don't get people to do the right thing because the system itself is derelict, because the system itself is the system itself needs spiritual intervention. So when you have such situation, you don't rely solely on data. That's why when you tell people about the importance of social media, engagement of the people, the importance of galvanizing the people, they tell you, please leave that one. When we share money, people will come out. The people voting are not the people speaking English. They are the people at the bus stop who are hungry. Give them 2 onions and 1 Maggi. They're going to vote the way you want. So this is the belief of politicians.
So I would say that
And
the people themselves contribute to this manner in which these political parties run us. I remember sometimes I go on Twitter and I sponsor a post. And I'll see many Nigerians criticizing me. Well, what they didn't know is that I'm probably writing a thesis or writing a book, and I want sure engagement. And I'll pay maybe $20, $30, 24 hours or 48 hours to promote this. And then they would not know that a lot of their comments, I gather it, but they say, he even sponsored this post. I can't believe this. In fact, that's how petite you are. But because even politicians don't understand the... So now when I do research or when I submit proposals or I write a book or I'm doing an academic journal, they are based on true facts. And then when I will have to source, I can source my source that I did a survey on Twitter or I make this comment, here were the reaction. An average Nigerian thinks this way. So I don't just talk blatantly. You don't just make promises based from your head alone. You're making it based on the empiricals, you know.
well, sadly, things don't work the way things work in the Western world in Nigeria. Politics is actually primitive, to a large extent. And those who are actually exposed enough to run the politics the way that we excite the likes of yourself, myself, and other people out there, will not be given the audience. If you notice, our politics don't reward people who are actually qualified. At the end of the day, you see, after all the electioneering campaigns and the rest of the processes and all, the kind of people that would show up are not people that can excite us or inspire us as a people.
So we qualify the rewarded.
So the most important thing right now, because things are changing, Nigerians have gone through a lot since 2015 till date. In fact, anything that makes you look back at where you're coming from and prefer the old ways to rather than moving forward, you rather want to go back in time, shows you that you have actually been beguiled, you have actually been violated, and you actually hate where you are presently. And the way forward would be to restore the hope in the nation, in the people, by educating them. Remember, the original idea behind democracy, as designed by the Greeks, is for people who get involved in the democratic process to have the education required and to have the knowledge and understanding
And
of
the
what is going on.
revelation,
Of what's going on. It is not for the ignorant who doesn't even know why they are voting or who they are voting for. For example, all our emphasis now is on the presidential election. Nobody cares who the senators will be, who the reps will be. And these are the people who will sign bills. These are the people who will sponsor bills, who will present bills before the executives for assent.
This is one of the reasons why I argue when I go to individuals, when I begin to throw my weight or, make opinion about certain individuals, there are individuals in this country, unfortunately, who understand the infrastructure of what you have just said right now. when people are busy thinking, I want to be president, they understand they are going from state to state, they're meeting with stakeholders, they're setting up systems, they're setting up structures. Either they're going to be ballot stealing, which is demonic, either everything that they need to do, they're already permutating. But what we want, we're just on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're just bickering, we're just saying all the things. But there are individuals who've been there long enough, who understand. And here's my point to the ruling elite also, that there has to be intentionality about passing it on. We need to get to a point whereby we begin to develop a training system to genuinely pick Nigerians and educate them in this system. Not just reward people who have been loyal to us alone. There has to be a system. I see you laughing there, but it's true. I really feel that there should be a system that is organized to be able to pick the best 11. Not just as a team of rewarding the people who we think are loyal to us, but as a people, we saw this guy is good in this field, this person is good in that field. Let's put them all together. Let's set up a system in which they understand the infrastructure or the whole structure of our country, the nitty-gritty of running a public office, public administration, leadership, budgeting, accounting, accountability, laws. They don't have to be lawyers before they understand certain rules, policy making, and stuff like that. We can sponsor people in numbers to understand public administration, to understand policies, because an average Nigerian who is a keyboard warrior just criticizing does not understand the intricacies of how this thing won. They will just say, I don't want that man to be my president. I don't want you. But the real truth is that the person you want cannot even win 2% of the vote because they do not have the infrastructure. So there are some of us that are privileged enough to be blessed by God, to have the passion to be searching this thing out by ourselves, reading, traveling around the world, and getting more information. And again, this is where, when some of those people that have traveled around the world, who have educated themselves from their own wallet, then eventually begin to gain political offices, Nigerians begin to hate them. The real truth is,
there's a reason that there's always
a dichotomy.
There's a meeting point somewhere. So you cannot reinvent the wheel. Neither can you bring something, a change out of the blues to the people. Everything is gradual. You can't bring an abrupt change and expect people to embrace it. You need to begin to go from the known to the unknown. And people fear what they don't understand. Number one, in Nigeria,
people fear what they don't understand. Yeah.
And number one, Nigerians generally, whether the ruling class or the ruled, we need to understand the purpose of government. You see, if you don't know the purpose for which government is set up, we'll always get it wrong in the choice of government. And in fact, some people who are even being voted into office don't really know why they were chosen. Because they get there and then they start grappling at straws. So that's exactly what happens when people promise you one thing and they get in there and then they do the opposite of what they have criticized. In fact, they do worse than they criticized in most times. So again, we need to be intentional, like you've just said earlier on. Aside from understanding the purpose of governance, we need to educate the electorate so they know the consequences of the choice or the choices that they are making.
But do they really have a choice? In Nigeria, it appears to me that there is no election. It seems to me to be selection. Does the election process really work?
That is exactly what this whole system being put in place is meant to do. Which is why we're saying, don't use. The Electoral Act it's been reviewed, and hopefully the president is going to assent to it, based on the edits.
That's removing the issue of the direct primaries and stuff like that.
Yes, it has been adjusted and it has been sent back.
I see no reason to remove it, but anyway,
it has been transmitted to the president with the hope that he's going to sign it this time. And if he gets to sign it, at least we know that there are certain structures that have been put in place. But secondly, I was going to address the issue of zoning, not disenfranchising certain people, from running. That way, we can know that we have a choice. In fact, we have a plethora of choices from different political parties. APC soon will come out with their own position on this to say whether they are zoning or they are not. They are just listening zoning, so that everybody who's interested can also run. So this way, Nigerians will now know that power truly belongs to the people. If you want your aspirant to become a candidate, join those political parties and be part of the delegates that will vote in the people you want to see as candidates. So when you participate at that level, you will win trust. You will encourage more people to go and get their PVCs to vote, because this time around, they now have people that they can count on, whether on the PDP side, APC side, or even on the coalition side. You remember I said the smaller parties and all, they are coming together to form a single unit and pick a candidate as well. So that is the independent aspect of it. They are not independent candidates, but they are like, a candidate of the coalition. Those parties that you don't know their names, you don't even know what their logo looks like and the rest, they are now coming together to say, don't worry about our logo. Just vote for this individual. He's coming under the umbrella of this particular party. So we will not be confused as to writing an exam at the polling unit with a long answer sheet. We're looking at just 3 political parties, 3 candidates, and we'll look at it based on our experience or experience of their campaign, what they talked, how they talked about their antecedent, their experience, their capacity, their capability, the level of integrity that they have, and the rest,
and the resources available, so that we don't waste our vote.
Well, aside from resources, it's a national thing, and how they're going to generate. They've already, during the campaign, they've already done debates and the rest. So from the debates, you can remember the things that they say they will do, and they've told us how they will get there. So with that, we are rest assured that when we vote Mr. A or Mr. B, this is exactly what we're getting. And we are not resting our oars there. We're going to go to the polls, protect our votes, ensure that the votes are counted, and ensure that the right candidate comes emerge from a transparent process. After which, we can then begin to monitor the implementation of everything that they have promised and evaluate the entire process. So we are part of the system. We are not hoping to have somebody being voted into power while we expect magic to happen without putting in our contribution. That's my own perspective.
Fantastic. The good news is, from what I now gather, we have PDP have jettisoned the idea of zoning. I know for sure that APC were not looking at that, but I cannot be sure of my being for sure. So we have to wait also to be sure. Or we know that APC have announced their own convention happening soon. So things will get a bit clearer.
There are still contentions about the dates of the convention. Some want it shifted. They are still here and there. But we pray that all the parties resolve their internal crisis
this February,
so that at the end of the day, the people can be able to say, yes, we can see all our choices and we know where to go from here.
It is working. Thank you. See you on the next episode. Subscribe to this channel and please do so now. It is working.